Let's talk a little bit about the private agency and kind of their approach to the process of adoptions, and kind of the pros and cons of working with them. Probably one of the number one minus of working with the private agency was just cost. You know, they do charge. This is a business for them, and so they make a little money there. Usually, if you're looking at a home study, of course, it ranges up and down, but kind of a ballpark figure you may be looking at is probably between 11, 13, $1,500. So, it kind of gives you an idea. It goes up and down depending on the services that they're providing. So that, it's kind of negative with working with them. But that said, it kind of goes to you get what you pay for, though. Because it's a business, they move faster. There's not going to be that that 4 to 8 months to get a home study. No, they're probably going to have your home study done within 6 to 8 weeks. They tend to move very quickly. Another, I guess, plus or minus, working with the private agency. Remember, as I mentioned in the first video, about the private agency the local agency just being very knowledgeable about their children. Obviously the private agency doesn't have that same level of knowledge of the kids in the system, and certainly the local knowledge of the kids within the county. But they're not too worried about that. Here's why. Because they're not working at just one local county. They're going to probably be seeing you all across the state of Florida. If it's a good agency, they're probably going to be seeing you looking all across the U.S. So, they're not worried about just that local knowledge, because they're looking at a bigger, they're going to be looking all over the place. So they don't worry so much about that local knowledge. But that does kind of lead to another issue, though. Remember I said earlier, one of the real strengths of that local agency is they're very careful about matching. Remember I said they don't really kind of want you looking around. They want you to kind of trust them. They'll kind of, when they feel like they have a match, that's kind of a couple match with one of their kids, they'll contact you. They'll say, hey, look, we have a child we think maybe a good match, like you consider, and they'll give you information at that point. That's not how private approaches this. Fact of the matter is, they want you searching. In fact, they won't tell you they don't do the searching for you. They will usually kind of guide you in places, websites, again across the U.S. for you to be looking yourself. Now, the obvious weakness of that is you don't have them being necessarily careful about how you're matched. But their thoughts on this is, well, you're an adult. You need to know yourself. That's true, but that means you kind of need to be careful. You need to be kind of watching out for yourself a bit, and much more careful when you're looking at kids, especially if you're looking across the whole U.S. There's more pros and cons to this that we can talk about. We'll go into part of it when we talk about when we start talking about where to go from here and kind of that process of once you have a home study and kind of what it looks like, because there's some differences whether you're working locally with a local agency or whether you're working a private agency, and we'll talk about those in that next part. Thank you.